Well, here we are. So, give people a chance to get online and stuff. So, yep. You may notice things look a little different, right? Look a little different. I am the same, but the background is different. I've moved my computer position, so it's facing. You can see my back. You can actually see my backyard a bit through the windows. I'm gonna probably move it again, but it's here for now. I managed to put in a new hard drive. That was the root of the continuing problems I was having most recently with the computer. It would be working fine for a while, and then the hard drive I had before would be working fine for a while, but then after either 5 minutes or maybe 2 hours of work, it would stop working. It would stop. It would fail to. Let me just reply to Andy here. The hard drive would all of a sudden stop reading and writing. You'd be like, I can't read or write anything, and or it'd have an input output error, and then I'd have to like run a disk repair on it, even to get it to boot back up again. So that was all very frustrating. Obviously, I managed to get a new hard drive and installed a new operating system on it. I like it a lot. It's working fine so far. I like the hard drive. It's 2 terabytes. It's a fine hard drive, but I'm trying out Linux Mint, which is pretty user friendly, and it's a good first Linux, I think. I've been curious about Arch Linux for a while. Zach and Austin were both encouraging me to try that out, and I am still curious about Arch Linux. I just kind of don't have time to dig into a new project right now, and it looks like Arch Linux would definitely be a project. So I will probably do that eventually, but for this particular use scenario, I just wanted something easy and quick, and Linux Mint was that. It was quick and easy. It's also, at least as far as I can tell from using it so far, I know it's based on Ubuntu. Ubuntu is based on Debian, and I've been using Ubuntu for a while just as my generic desktop, but I don't like it. Like I really have been meaning to try something else. So Linux Mint is somehow like downstream from Ubuntu, so it starts from Ubuntu, and then it sort of just takes the good parts, I guess. I don't know. It seems a lot simpler in some ways, but the package managers are all the same. Like the things I'm used to using for Ubuntu are still the same, but the biggest difference is the desktop environment that Linux Mint comes with. It's called Cinnamon, and it seems to work. It seems a lot faster than the Ubuntu desktop environment, which I think they were still using Unity, although I can't remember if I had switched mine to GNOME 3 or not. But anyway, those are just like the way you interface with your computer, and the Cinnamon one seems a lot lighter and faster. There's no fancy like alpha transparency transitions and things. It works. It just works. So anyway, so that's all just kind of random preamble as I'm letting people go online here. But one of the consequences is that I have not been able to. Sorry, something looks strange on my stream. I have not been able to access that original hard drive yet. I have it plugged in, but its bugginess so far basically has prevented me from actually getting the files off of it, which is probably fine. I don't have a lot of files that are unique to that drive, but the ones that I do have, I kind of want, including the banner images I've been using for these streams. So I'm going to keep trying to get that, but it's not the end of the world if I have to just make those again. I just kind of like the consistency. Anyway, so great. So it looks like 3 viewers now. So hello and good morning. So a couple of general announcements, and then I'll get into some content. Today I'm going to be demoing different ways to put something on your homepage, like basically alternatives to the standard WordPress options that I showed you last week. In case you want to consider these. These are, of course, options, and you may have already decided what you're doing with your domain, and you may not need any advice. But I just wanted to, show you some alternatives. That's what I'll do today. But a couple announcements quickly. First of all, don't forget to schedule your conversation with me or the DKC about your domain. I want to talk you through some options and help you understand what you're doing and make sure that you understand what you're doing. And if I can help you do that, then I can do that. We can do that in a conversation. That can be a video-based conversation or just a text-based conversation. Reserve that by going to zachwhalen.net/contact. Let me just show you, pull that up here. So if you go to zachwhalen.net/contact, you can see it. Have to keep the domain. You might need to clarify what you mean by that. But yeah, you have a domain, and that's what I'm talking about using, I guess. But this is how you would book an appointment with me, and then if you pick the kind of conversation you want to have, and then it'll tell you when I'm available for that. My availability is slightly different depending on what kind of appointment you want to make. Mainly, I don't want to be doing video conferencing while my wife is teaching piano lessons over video at the same time, because that uses up our bandwidth. So, Mehak, I'll ask you here too. What do you mean? You have it until you graduate. So yeah, I'm talking about using it. So yeah, after you graduate, it will be released to you. You can purchase it. Okay. I know you can, but I'm typing it here in case other people have the same question. You can purchase it if you want, or just let it go. So this is a good question. I mean, a lot of people, when they graduate, do want to keep their domain. The thing is, we will not continue paying for it. So that's what we, UMW, have done for your time here. We buy it, we register, we pay for an entry in the domain name system for you, and then whenever you graduate, we will either transfer that to you, which means you would have to start paying for it, or you would just let it go. Now, when you just let a domain go, there are a couple of things to think about. One is that it goes back on the market, and so there are people and companies that exist to just buy up every domain. And Andy, yes, that's correct. But when you put a domain out there and other people buy it, they can do whatever they want to with it at that point. Like, that's their content. I think I told you all the story about this, but I had a domain early on in my web life. As a group blog where lots of us created content for that. And we ended up deciding on a different domain name and identity, and so we switched over to a new domain and spent some time blogging there. We had developed a pretty good page rank and had a fair amount of traffic on that first site. And originally, we got a lot more on the new one, but we still had a fair amount on the old one, the old domain. I forgot to renew the registration one year, and so it went on the market. Somebody bought it and filled it up with spam. And it annoyed me because I had spent a lot of work on that, and we, as the writers, we'd all spend a lot of time working on that and building up that content to make it a pretty visible domain. And so I was annoyed that someone else was basically making money off this thing that we had chosen not to make money off of. We just wanted to do it for fun. So yeah, and that domain, I'm not going to tell you the domain, but it still exists and it's still full of spam, but it's not popular anymore, obviously. It's just annoying that someone else did that. Actually, if you know the Reply All, there's a podcast called Reply All, and in their latest episode, they actually talk about this situation of letting domains go, and in the course of this episode, they help someone get her domain back from the person who bought it out from under her. So, there are some things to consider. I think if you, like, my domain name is my name, Zach Whalen, and I really kind of want that to be, continue to be my way of being online. So I'm not going to let that go. Even if I decided not to put much content on here, I'm going to keep that. I even have some domains registered for my kids because I think someday they will probably want that. They don't have websites up yet, but they have the domain registered just in case they do someday. And that basically prevents someone else from getting it. So you have to think about, you do have to think long-term a little bit, but basically, think about it in terms of usefulness. Like, if you do think you might find it useful, think of that versus the cost of it. And I always feel sort of bad because this is the only company I recommend. I think really you probably should do some shopping to find out. But I use Reclaim Hosting for my hosting, and I use Hover for my domain registrations, hover.com for most of them. I have a few in various other places, but and you can see, like, domains may not be as expensive as you think. This is actually, let's see what their pricing is right now. And so this tells you what the TLD is, so like .com, .net, .org, and then what their prices are for it. So you can see, yeah, $12, $14 for a .com. This is per year. Let's say .net is a little bit more expensive, and .org is also a little bit in between. But that's, this is what I do with them, and so that's like, all together with all my domains, it's like $100 a year. This one, and then this, you do your hosting, like your actual content with Reclaim. That's what you might want to do. This is what I do. But if you wanted to just own your domain and then continue using your site basically as you've been using it, actually they've just added this thing here. This is I'm kind of curious to see what they do. Yeah, so they offer $30 a year, and that includes the domain registration and 2 gigabytes of space, which is more than you have on UMW domains. So you can think about, is it worth $30 a year to you? Might be, might not be, but this is a way to continue doing that. Now, there are other companies that can do this too. The thing that's nice about Reclaim is that they are former UMW employees and students. The company, like most of the people that work for them, are former students, and the owners are former employees of UMW. They actually provide the back end for UMW domains, and so for them to migrate is very easy. So they can migrate your content there. So you might actually know some of these people. Katie's still a current student. But yeah, Lauren and Meredith they took DGST 101 just like you are. They were students in 101 many years ago. So yeah, these are, I don't actually know these two guys, but but yeah, Jim and Tim are the owners, and they do a great job. So I recommend them, and I like working with them a lot. But that's all, of course, up to you after you graduate. Yeah, I think you get 6 months to decide, so it doesn't happen as soon as you graduate. But you do need to decide pretty quickly, and they can actually do the migration for you, so it goes pretty fast. If you want to. Okay, so remember, don't forget to make an appointment with me to talk about what your choices are for your domain, and like what we can talk about like how to get it done for this assignment for this semester, but we can also talk about the future if that's something that you're still thinking about. Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to mention is that if you are a CDS major or a digital studies minor, you might have been looking for classes in the fall. You might have noticed we had to cancel some sections of classes. Long story short, it has to do with the financial situation of the university and of everything right now. But basically, we had to save some money by canceling some sections. But ironically, those same situations also make it easier for us to add sections in the summer. And so we couldn't replace everything exactly. We know summer is different, and not everyone has access to summer classes. But we have made available some summer classes, some new summer classes, and so I can commend them to you. I would recommend you check it out. These are some new sections that just went out like Thursday or Friday of last week, so you may not have seen these already. The two that I wanted to mention are, I'm going to teach one called Creative Coding, and let's see if I actually have a website up for the last time I taught this class. I might. I think this is it. Yeah, so, okay, cool. So this is kind of a placeholder site, but this is it pretty much. The kind of projects you do for this class it might be interesting to see what we do for this. You make a Twitter bot, you remix a text and make poetry out of it. This is making poetry out of Frankenstein. I actually ended up dropping this assignment. You make glitch art, which is pretty interesting. You make a screensaver using JavaScript. You generate a novel, and you make a clock. Oh yeah, the clock. That was a really challenging one. Anyway, so these are the kinds of things that you can do in this class. It's a summer class. It's taught online, 5 weeks. It'll be slightly compressed from what you see here, but the main idea is to get some experience using code and programming for some projects that I think are pretty fun, and you can be creative with them. So I think a lot of people enjoy that opportunity. You don't have to have experience programming already. Just you need to come to this maybe with some patience and just the understanding that it's okay to learn as you go. I will give you the things you need to know and help you be successful, of course. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about the class. But definitely, check it out if you have room in your schedule. This is an upper level elective for CDS or the Digital Studies minor, so good opportunity. I don't know when I'm going to be able to teach this class again, to be honest. Like, I really like this class, but just the way that staffing is going, I may not be able to teach it for a while. So, if you're at all interested, this might be your last chance for a while. So, yeah, there. I'll just put it out that way. Another one that we added, I don't have anything to show you for it, I don't think, but Jesse Stommel, who is another digital studies faculty member, teaches. He's going to be teaching a it's digital, but he's going to be teaching a documentary filmmaking class over the summer. So that's going to be it's in the 8-week term, so that actually starts in the May. It starts when the May-June term starts, but it goes into the second term. So you should check that out as well. I think it's DGST 301F. But yeah, documentary filmmaking. My class, by the way, is a June-July class, so it would be in the second of the summer term. So you still have time to think about it if you want to consider that. Of course, let me know if you have questions. Okay, great. So 9 viewers. Great. Hello. Good morning. So let me go into some options for your website. So this is, I'll leave that there, I guess. Basically 2 things I wanted to show you, and basically to help think beyond the paradigm of WordPress, because WordPress is great, but it's also overkill for a lot of the things you want to do with your homepage. It's just kind of too much. So there are 2 things I'm going to show you. I want to show you a lighter weight way to work with WordPress, and this will be a copy of WordPress that is smaller and also already customized to be essentially a landing page, business card kind of page. There's that, and then the other thing I want to show you is Grav, which is a different content management system that uses a pretty different way of organizing content, but I like it a lot, so I'm going to show it to you. And you may not like it. You may decide it's too much, and that's fine. It has a steeper learning curve, but I think once you learn it, it's good. What is that? Oh yeah, that's the Anchor. That's a totally different content management system that I used to use, but they stopped developing it, so I have not been able to use it. Okay, so I'm in Installatron, and I'm going to actually need to go back out of Installatron for a minute, but I'll just show you this first. When you look at featured applications, these are the things that most people are using on UMW domains, WordPress and Omeka. But there are some other things as well that they've featured and recommended. Actually, between these 2, I would recommend Omeka S over Omeka if you need that kind of thing. Omeka is for database kind of websites or collections or archives. Omeka S works a lot better than Omeka at this point. Omeka S is the new version. But anyway, the things I'm going to show you are these right here, these calling card websites. And these are actually lighter weight versions of WordPress, but they work pretty well. True Collector and True Writer are also lighter weight versions of WordPress, I believe. But I'm going to just show you one of these 3 here today. Then I'm also going to show you Grav, and Grav you can install through Installatron like I'm doing here, but I'm going to install it manually because I find that works better. I actually tried to do the Installatron installation for Grav in the last live stream, and it didn't work. So I'm going to show you the manual way to do it. It is more steps, and it will look easy when I do it because I know what I'm doing. And if you do it, you may find it a little bit more confusing and hard. But I, of course, can walk you through that if you do choose that. But that's up to you. So, okay, so I'm going to actually go ahead and let me go back to the main cPanel. I think this should get me there. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and make some subdomains for me to play in. And of course, if you're doing this in your homepage, this part of the process would be very different. You would not need to make a subdomain to put something on your homepage. You might want to just to play, but you don't have to. And that's like so many things. There's just options and options and options, right? And my goal is just to help you understand these. So, homepage demo for 11. I'll just call it section 2. I'm making these super long and to remind myself to delete these. And as you can see, I've got lots of these that that I've written to remind myself to delete that I have not deleted. So I will do that. But I'm going to go make this one a homepage demo for section 2, and I'll do another homepage demo for section 2. And as you can see, you can have as many subdomains as you want. Oh, wrong document root. Base domain. Darn it. This is why I have to clean them out. Yeah, so I have zachwhalen.org, but I don't actually, I've not actually registered that. I should probably register that. but I just use it as a placeholder in here. Okay, that should work better. Okay, so again, this is going to give me a couple of subdomains, nothing in them yet, right? So, but I'm going to put some things in them. Let me just pull them up in tabs here. So it was a, what was it? I just made it. What was it? Homepage demos for section 2. That was the one I just, which one of them? I'm going to put WordPress here, or like one of those calling card WordPresses here. And what was the other one? Another homepage. All right, so this is an empty subdomain. This is what it looks like. You might remember seeing this from when you installed before, but this is just what it should look like here. This is a subdomain with nothing in it. It does say index of and then slash because that's the root of this subdomain. That's what we're looking at. And when I do the manual installation of Grav, that you'll see what that means in the file manager. But let's try the big picture thing first, or the calling card thing. Let me get out of too many tabs here. Okay, so this is just back here in the tab I was at before. So let me go back to my cPanel home and then into install Tron. And last time, and then over here to the applications browser. Last time I tried the highlights and it worked fine. Big picture I tried the other day and it worked okay. Let's try this one. This is called Dimension. So these three were made by a guy named Alan Levine, and he goes by the name Cogdog online. And he actually used to work at UMW. So let's see. Where is it? I guess it's at the bottom of the list. I guess this is not an alphabetical list, is it? Okay, so a homepage for section 2.dgst101.net. So that's that tab there. Okay, great. So I'm going to delete the directory because I just want it in the top level of the subdomain. Accept the license agreement. Make this something I can remember. Leave everything else the default. And then go in here. Just let it install for a second. Shouldn't take long. See how it looks. I got ahead of myself. I went too fast. There it is. Great. Oh, that's pretty slick. Who are those guys? Okay, interesting. So I imagine all of these things are customizable, but it is kind of an interesting idea they have going here. All right, let's see what we can change with this. So this is actually WordPress on the inside. Homepage, this is it, right? Yeah, okay, so let's go to the WP admin. I noticed these don't actually let you log in directly. They actually make you type it again. I'm not sure why, because they're supposed to hand off. Still correct? Yes. I don't know why I would ask that. Okay, great. So this is, as you've seen before, this is a regular WordPress dashboard at this point. So let's just update some things here. Make sure that it's up to date. There we go. Looks like I have a plugin that's updatable too. Let's update it now. Let's do that. Okay, great. So let's see what we got here. Now this is, like I said, it's WordPress, but it's a customized WordPress. So, what? Okay. So here we are. It looks like they've got this thing called front boxes. Wonder what that is. They don't show up. We don't have any front boxes yet, so whatever they are, maybe it doesn't matter. Okay. Well, let's come back to that. But let's see. Let's go to the customize and see if we can customize some of the things on the homepage, because obviously my CMS, that doesn't actually tell us anything. Okay, so let's change the site identity. Let's call it Zach Whalen. Exploring the web, one CMS at a time. I mean, obviously, you don't necessarily need You don't really need a subtitle tagline, but you certainly could. Okay, and site icon, that's cool, so you can actually edit that as well. That's a fine picture of a horse, but I'm not super into it. Let's see. I could add a new let me add a new background image. This is a good case for Unsplash. Unsplash is a website where you can download nice looking public domain images. Let's see. And these are all public domain, meaning anyone is allowed to use them for anything. For something that you want to just be in the background, you don't want it to be too interesting, or else people will look at that instead of your content. Oh, that's a cool looking deer. That's a cool looking buffalo. But you also want to make sure that doesn't have too much contrast, because that'll make it harder to read your text. I don't know, why not this one? This one's pretty neutral. Not amazing, but I do want to I want to make sure that you see how to do this. So I'll just do this one. So you can download these for free from Unsplash, and these actually don't require you to credit the photographer. You can. This one's by Utsman Media, and you probably should, but you don't have to legally. So let me just upload that. You should also fill this in there. Let's see. So this should put that in the background instead of that Wild West thing. Okay, that's pretty nice. I like that. It actually does a little bit to fade it out, so it's not as bright as the original, but that's still pretty good. Okay, so there's that. There's a picture here of a horse still. How do I get the horse to go away? Homepage settings. Okay, that's not what I want. Dimension logo? Maybe that's what that is? The little gears. This might be a good situation for I know I just Googled. I know it looks like I just Googled Facebook, but I just was being lazy. I just changed my Facebook profile. That would probably be a good thing to put there, but I don't know where that is. So I don't know how to log in. I don't have my password handy, so I'll just take the profile picture from my Twitter page, which is a little bit old now, but should be fine. Let's see. This is just letting me view this image by itself, and that's, yeah, I look kind of dorky, but that's okay, right? You can really see the contrast of me, like you can see my face now versus that side by side, but that's okay. I'm not that worried about it. So I'm going to try to upload that image and see if it actually goes where I think it will, which is where that horse thing is. Yes, okay, yeah, that's nice. I like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and publish that. So you notice that there is a link here to an about page. Let's make sure we see what that looks like. And let me go back here. This is the live version of the site. Okay, so you could actually make a pretty simple about page, and this looks like you would make it a separate page, but this is where you could say, this is a website, I don't have much here, and here's a link to my blog, and here's a link to my portfolio, or here is my portfolio. Like, you could just make a portfolio page right here. But pretty nice and very much kind of resume forward. Like, this is the kind of thing that you could put together and it would look pretty professional. I wanted to see what this front boxes thing is. Let me just see. Add front box. I don't know where this is going to go, but it apparently is part of this particular thing. Oh, okay, I kind of have an idea. Front box. What is a front box? I don't know. I have a hunch it's going to show up. Okay, there it is. It's just the word front box. Oh, okay, so it's like a little pop-out thing, like a modal pop out. That's kind of cool. It like blurs the background. I kind of like that. It's kind of a weird shape. It's like hard corners on the left and then rounded on the right. So I don't know. There might be different options in there, but that's pretty cool. I like that. So it's a very lightweight kind of content. It's not a full blog entry or a page, but yeah, pretty nice. So yeah, I kind of like this. Among of the three, I think I like this one the most, as far as being a nice, like, pretty clean and simple, straightforward view of your digital identity. You can put stuff in there, but it's not a whole. It's not quite as much work as setting up WordPress. You do want to let me double check a couple things. You do want to make sure your discussion settings are such that you don't have. Yeah, you still want to turn off comments, right? That's still, a good idea. Something you have to do. And you also definitely want to make sure to activate Akismet. Like, I'm not here because this is just a demo site, but you definitely want to activate Akismet. Probably still want to install Jetpack, and then you could put a contact page, I'm sure, in one of those front boxes or in a post. But yeah, overall, I think this is pretty good. Like, this is a nicer, a different way to think about WordPress, and I like it. Okay, so I'm now going to show you. Let's see, Devin Carson is typing, so I'll let Devin. Well, I'll respond if you have a question, but if not, I'll just move on to Grav. So I'm going to be trying to put Grav right here, and this is a folder. And I wanted to show it to you as a folder so that I can show you how to install it manually. So all these CMS things, these are things that you can install any of these manually. The downside to that is that sometimes they take several steps, and if you don't know which steps to do, it's more work. But Tron handles all that for you automatically, like creating the MySQL database, for example. So let me add, yes, Devin, you certainly can use the regular WordPress. It's just you might have, these are already kind of pre-configured to do the kind of thing that a lot of you probably are trying to do with your homepage. So that's why I was showing you these. But certainly, yeah, I think just install WordPress, pick a theme, and then rearrange it the way you need it to look. Totally fine. And that's what most people are doing. I'm trying to help you all break out of the normal way that things that most people tend to do with this. Okay, so let me show you a bit about your domain. So this is obviously my cPanel. Mine is a bit more complicated. Gracie, that was, I'll show it to you. That was what I just showed you, was in Tron applications browser, the dimension CSS or dimension calling card. So it is actually WordPress, but it has a different name here because it's a special version of WordPress. So I'm going to show you Grav now. I have not started showing you Grav yet. So let's go back here. So every area of your domain, like every subdomain, every subdirectory, it's actually, your domain, your server, your account is a computer, and so just like your computer that you're using to watch this on, it has files and folders and software on it. And you can access it that way if you go down here to the Files section in cPanel and you click on File Manager. And you can see where everything is, all the files and folders that make your website up. If you had been with me in the version of this class where I taught HTML, we would spend a little bit more time here and create some static HTML. Some people, by the way, do just make static HTML for their homepage, and that's fine. If you do that, that would go in the public HTML folder, which is a special folder. But otherwise, the folders here are named for the subdomain that they are. So the one I just made was a homepage for demo for section 2.DGST 101. This is the one that I just installed WordPress in, and these files right here, these are WordPress. This is the source code of WordPress, and so it makes the WordPress site appear and render and look the way it looks, and all the editors and everything in there are actually coded here. So that's nice in the sense that if you want to know more about it, you can edit these files and learn how they are written. You can also change them if you think you have a better idea for how to do it. But that's WordPress. Grav is, I'm going to put Grav not there. We'll put Grav here. So Grav is similar to WordPress in that it is a lot of files that are managed. The big difference between Grav and WordPress is that in WordPress, whenever you write content, it creates a chunk of text or data, and it sends that into a MySQL database, and then it stores it there. And the next time when someone comes to view your content, WordPress has to go to the database first and then pull it into its presentation and render it for that user. So that whole process takes some time, and there's a handoff between the website, the PHP on your website, and the database, the MySQL. And WordPress has gotten better over the years. It's pretty fast now, but it can be really slow because of all of the memory it requires to do all that back and forth. So you can speed it up actually using Jetpack. It has some tools in it that will just speed up your site. But I got really frustrated, especially with the copy of WordPress running DGST101.net. I was timing it. Sometimes it would take like a minute and a half for that load of like going into the database, pulling out the content, and rendering it. And that's ridiculous. Like, that's way too long. Like, I think even anything past 5 seconds is too long. So that's just in terms of, you can imagine what your patience is like as a reader when you're clicking through a website. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait for content. So you don't have to. You shouldn't have to. Like, there shouldn't be that much going on. But with WordPress, sometimes there's a lot going on. So Grav is much simpler in that you don't have a MySQL database at all. Instead, for Grav, all your files are already just in the server. Like, they're just there. All your content that you write are plain text files. And then Grav is really just a series of templates that will show them, that will render them in a certain way, make them look nice. And that process of rendering text into a template is very fast. Like, it's a much faster system. So I like it a lot. And it's also, once you get your head around how it works, it's easier to think about a bigger site kind of project with Grav, I think, than WordPress. You kind of have to commit to an organization with Grav, and then you have to use the terminology within Grav, but it's not too bad. So you can install Grav with Tron. The problem I ran into, I think, before was that the version in Grav, this is a Grav dashboard, the version of Grav that you get from Tron is out of date, and so it was not able to go into the Grav server and get the newer versions of the pieces it needed. So I'm going to do this the manual way, just because I know that I have more confidence that it will actually work. So when you go to so Grav's website is getgrav.org, and you can go to download Grav. And within Grav, it uses some terminology that overlaps with WordPress, like themes and plugins, but the thing that Grav adds is skeletons. So within Grav, the idea of what a theme is and what a plugin does is much more kind of bare bones, building up a site kind of stuff than what you would get with WordPress. Because WordPress by itself works pretty well. It's already got a lot of pieces configured, and they are all just kind of working. Grav doesn't come that way. Grav is a bit more like Linux as a computer system. Like, you have to actually kind of build it up. So you have to have themes, and they have to be configured to work with the plugins. And so a skeleton is that. A skeleton is it includes the Grav core files, it includes a theme and some plugins, and they're all already working together. And so you download them in a chunk that works. I actually had to fix the 20 theme when I demoed it last time, but so I'm going to try a different one now. But the idea anyway is that when you download these, they should include some basic plugins to get you started. I'm going to try this one. I'm a little suspicious of it, but I'm going to try it anyway. This is a Grav skeleton called Resume, and it's going to download a zip file to my computer. So I don't know. This site design looks weird to me. I don't really like it, but I'm going to try it anyway. So I downloaded that zip file. Now, over here in my file manager, this is the folder where that subdomain lives. And so I need to upload my copy of Grav here. So I'll go to upload, select that file. I know you can't see this, but this is, where is it? Okay, yeah, there it is. So this is the zip file that I just downloaded. You notice 6 megabytes. That's not very big compared to WordPress. I think WordPress now is 55 megabytes when you first install it. This will be a little bigger when I unzip it, but not by much. So this is Grav skeleton resume site. This is the skeleton I just downloaded from getgrav.org. And I've uploaded it as a zip file, but I can't use it yet because it's compressed. It's compressed into a zip. And so I need to extract all of the contents of this. I can do this right here in the file manager. Just right click and then extract. And there we go. And okay, so it actually, I need to fix something here. It went into a subfolder. So this is now a subfolder of my subdomain. So you're not going to see Grav yet. You're just going to see a folder with Grav in it. It's actually here. but we're not ready for that yet. So I want Grav to show up right here at this URL, not at the subdomain one, the subdirectory. So I need to just move these things, and you can do that in the file manager. If you do this yourself, one thing you should make sure to check for that may cause problems if you miss it is make sure that you can see files, like especially this one that's called .htaccess. That's a very important file, and it's hidden by default unless you have your settings in the file manager adjusted to show hidden files. So you need to make sure you see that file basically. You know, if you're going to do this, which is I'm going to select all these files and I'm just going to move them up a directory level. I want to make sure I move to the right one. Yeah, that's it right there. I'm just going to drag and move this up. So now this is where I was before, where I just saw the Grav skeleton resume site folder, and now I see that folder plus all of the contents of that. So these are the files and folders that make up Grav. I know I'm moving kind of quickly, by the way. If I were doing some class, I would be pausing frequently and asking for questions. This is going to be recorded as a video, so you can pause it and you can ask questions later if you need to. So that's why I hope it's okay that I'm moving kind of quickly through this. I don't need this folder anymore, so I'm going to delete it. And so now this is Grav, and so let's see if it actually works. Yeah, okay. Fine, I guess. Sure, why not? I don't care for the contrast on this site. I think this is way too light. The text is too light. I would definitely adjust that if this were actually my site. And also, it's kind of a lot. You know, it's just kind of a lot going on here that's really not super necessary. Yeah, so I'm not a fan of this layout, but I'm going to keep using it just to kind of keep going. But just bear in mind, like when you go to skeletons, pick one you like. I mean, the most popular one is the one-page site, probably. If you want to do something more like a blog, then let's see. This is Multilang is a good site. I mean, it's a good minimalist kind of blog. If you want to do something more of a placeholder kind of thing, like a card kind of page, the agency is another good one for that one-page kind of thing. Or what's this? Hot Dolly. I don't know that one. Okay, so there's, yeah, your mileage will vary. Some of these are great, some of these are just okay. And this is one that unfortunately is, in my opinion, just okay. It's just not nearly enough contrast. But I'll keep using it. And so to use it, this should have, hopefully it has the admin plugin. Let's see. It does not. Why are they not including both the themes that I got, both skeletons I got did not include the admin plugin, which is surprising because the admin plugin is the most popular plugin and you can use it to install other plugins. So I don't know why they wouldn't just include it. I mean, I can install it manually, but it's annoying that I have to do that. Like the idea of a skeleton, it should be like a package that just works. So let me get that. So because you have to download the plugin and then all of the dependencies for it. So it's like, I don't know, it's annoying. Not that bad, but even finding the download link is kind of a pain for this one. I don't know why they just don't make this easier. Where's the download link? I found this before. I mean, this is the documentation. Yeah, installation. Oh yeah, installing the plugin manually. Okay, so I'll save that link to the plugin. I am also going to need login. And I think form also. And might as well get email too. I think I might already have email installed, but I don't know for sure. No, I don't. Okay, so yeah, this is where they all will go. This is my plugins folder. It's annoying. So let me just grab all these. And then I will be good to go pretty soon with Grav. So the thing with Grav, like I said, the terminology is different. And the workflow is a little strange at first, but once you get used to it, it's very quick, and that's what I really like about it. So these are the zip files for all those that I just uploaded, and I should just be able to extract these here. And these I do actually want to keep in their own respective subfolders, so I don't need to do that moving thing I did before. Okay. And these are the GitHub repository names for these, and that's why they have the master thing there. If you click on a folder or file name like that, you can edit it. And so I'm just gonna edit these. I don't know why it doesn't include these. If you want to do this, and this is something that, you know, a part of this process you get stuck on, you know, please ask. I'm totally happy to guide you through these steps. It's just a lot of steps for some reason. Okay, so let's see now. Hopefully the admin panel is here now. Let's see. There it is. Great. So this is the admin plugin, and this part of it will look a bit more familiar, and you know, it looks more like a content management system, right? Okay. Obviously, you can make whatever there. I'll go ahead and save that. And this is the Grav dashboard. And just logically, you can see that it's got some similarities to the WordPress dashboard. You have things on the left that you can do, and you've got kind of what you're working on in the middle. For Grav, everything is a page in terms of content. So widgets, even layout elements, they're all pages. And even blog entries are a kind of page. So this one looks like it's set up for what calls a modular page called resume, and it has these different sections to it. So if you wanted to change this out, you would be able to just click on this, and then I have design skills. These editors here, this is actually going to be creating a text file on the server, and so this is not a fancy editor like WordPress is. You can do pretty much everything you can do in a WordPress post, but you have to, in some cases, you have to write the code for it. That's what you're seeing here. This is Markdown, so this is not HTML writing here. But you can write HTML by hand if you do the HTML tags yourself. But if you want to do things like make this bold, you can do 2 asterisks on it. It'll give you kind of a preview of what it looks like as you type. Basically, I don't have time to go into Markdown, but Markdown is a way to format your text in a way that's like Slack uses that. So if you're writing in Slack and you want to make something italic, you can use Markdown to make it italic, for example. So let's just see where this ends up, and then I'll wrap up the stream here. Obviously, I want to change the name of the site so it's not Leo Wilhoit. That's my other one. Let's see kind of where design skills went. Oh yeah, there it goes. I have design skills. Yeah, there's a bunch of just kind of extra stuff here that I don't care for. But that's okay. That's, you know, your mileage will vary. Looks like you can add this whole section, but it's education, experience, hobbies. Is it? Oh yeah, so it's these other sections down here. It calls them right. I don't know why. But anyway, that, you know, your mileage will vary. If you want to blog with Grav, this is not set up to be a blog, but that is kind of counterintuitive the way it looks when you blog for Grav. In that case, a blog is a type of page in Grav, and then each blog entry, like each post you make, is what Grav calls an item, and it has to be organized as a child of the blog post. So it's like one post is a blog, and then items are children of that, and those show up as individual entries. And those are actually subfolders within the folder on the server. So it's very easy to understand from kind of the folder files and folders way of thinking about your website, but it's not as easy to understand in the sense of like most recent posts, which is probably what you're more used to thinking of for content management. Anyway, so that wasn't a great introduction to Grav, but maybe a little bit. The point is really that Grav does have a steeper learning curve, and there are some things that we have not covered in this class yet that you would probably need to get familiar with in order to really work comfortably with Grav, like writing Markdown and like working with your file manager. but it's not too bad. I think it's a good thing to know. So, well, you know, you have lots of options. You don't have to do any of these things really. So if you have some other idea, then that's fine too, probably. Okay, great. Well, again, don't forget to schedule those meetings so that I can talk with you through your plans for your site and any questions you have about what you're trying to do with that. And yeah, that's it. So go back to Andy's question. Like you've got the digital methodology project, maybe you might still even be working on archaeology. Then you've got the yourdomain.com, which is really that's what I'm talking about today. And then your final self-evaluation, and then that's it. So get all that in this week or next week if you can. All right, let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I guess I'll stop the stream, but let me know on Slack or through Canvas or email if you want to get in touch. Let me know how things are going. Okay, see you later. Have a good day.